All deserve it, and we'll see how they play today because this team is looking to get back in the win column.
Lost at home to North Carolina and then lost on the road at Georgia Tech. All three of their losses this year, they have gotten off to slow starts and have not been able to recover.
So what Boston College is going to do is play them in man-to-man, sag inside that three-point line, and double a little bit down on Crystal Langhorne.
Tolliver off the mark from outside. There is Crystal Langhorne at 74%. Brenda Freese telling us before the game she has to get more touches for us. We want her more involved, whether it's to score or to kick it back out if the double team comes. Harper outside to Marissa Coleman, who knocks down the three.
And that's a good possession for Maryland because Maryland played the game inside out. The ball went inside the hopper twice before they got the three-point shot.
Coleman, one of the more versatile players in the nation, does everything well. The skip pass, looking for Sarah Marshall, and boy, would Boston College love her to provide more offense.
Well, I believe that really has to happen for Boston College. Sarah Marshall is an excellent distributor of the basketball, but she has to keep teams honest by knocking down shots like that.
Coleman, she's got the hot hand early on. 2 for 2 to start out. Last year's ACC Rookie of the Year. This season, she's already got a triple-double to her credit, and Langhorne picked up the assist on that one. So that's twice they've gone inside and back out.
Well, that's the kind of basketball Maryland wants to play.
And that's twice Sarah Marshall has gotten her shot. Both teams getting what they want early.
Sarah Marshall had a tremendous NCAA tournament at the end of the year last year, and it was hoped that she would come back wanting to shoot the ball a little bit more, but her team is so young, she spent a lot of time trying to develop the younger players, but now it's time for Sarah Marshall to continue to step up.
This is a team that came out of the middle of the pack in the ACC last year, knocked off a #1 seed, Ohio State, in the second round as they advanced to the Sweet 16. Suffered some heavy losses due to graduation, and they have struggled this year. They come in with an 11 record, but Kathy Inglis has done a terrific job in her 14 seasons at Boston College. She's the all-time wins leader there. 5 consecutive 21 seasons. And Brenda Freese, her wins have gone up every year that she's been there. This is her 5th season, of course, capped off last year by the national championship. Later on. Tolliver had it, not loose. And then the errant pass inside, looking for Harper. Turnovers have been a problem as well in their 3 losses this season.
Well, and some of those turnovers are when the ball does go inside to the post and the post gets doubled, it's not coming out cleanly. But that time I just think Tolliver because she got harassed by the defender, just got rid of the ball and made a bad pass.
Kendall Dorsey looking for 3, won't go. Tolliver with the box out. Maryland will look to push. Coleman wants the 3 again, won't go. Catherine Ress with another rebound. That's her second.
This is a Boston College team that pretty much will play in the half court, but if they have opportunities to push the basketball and score in fast break or secondary break situations, they will do that.
Grusin trying to go around Coleman, won't go. Marissa with the rebound.
Grusin would have been better off that time kicking it out and making the extra pass.
Harper fouled from behind by Catherine Ress. That is 2 on Catherine Ress, and that's big trouble for BC.
Well, Coleman did a nice job of getting the ball inside and then relocating for the open shot. And then again, the ball went inside to Langhorne. She relocates, and Coleman knocks down the shot.
Catherine Ress disappointed. Picking up 2 quick fouls out early, and the top scorer for BC on the bench, and they go right inside to Crystal Langhorne with Ress off the court.
Well, that's a huge problem for Boston College, and in their last game against NC State, similarly, she got into foul trouble early and even picked up her 3rd with 0.2 seconds left in the first half. Boston College team really needs her on the floor, but they're going to have to hold down the fort without her for long stretches of time in this first half.
Ayla Brown rattled that one around and out. Offensive rebound won't go from Gruesome. And then the outlet to Duran will go out of bounds. We'll take a timeout. Maryland up early on BC 7-4 at the Comcast Center. That just watched Florida State win at Cameron Indoor Stadium for the first time ever as they upset Duke 68-67. Beth Mullins along with Charlene Curtis here on Super Sunday. The Terps coming in ranked 4th in the country and in 4th place in the ACC. Boston College comes in with an 11-11 record. And Charlene, what's your game plan today?
Well, for Boston College, they want to shorten the game, which means keep the ball, get it deep into the shot clock, reverse the basketball, get looks inside. Maryland needs to establish Langhorne and Harper early, and they've done that. Both these teams have actually done what they needed to do for this basketball game. Maryland has a slight advantage.
Langhorne and Harper have both picked up assists early on when the ball went inside. The double team came and they kicked it back out. Marissa Coleman with the hot hand, 5 points. The big story for Boston College, Catherine Ress picking up 2 quick personal fouls. The leading scorer for the Eagles is on the bench. Tolliver to Shea. Duran won't go.
That's a good look by Shea, and it was created by Christy Tolliver, really pushing the ball quickly to the middle of the floor.
There is Ress coming in, averaging 17 points per game. 3rd best in the ACC, but she is out right now. Mikel Pico has come on for BC out of the break.
Boston College likes the high-low offensive looks. But without Ress in there, they're just not as big, so their guards are going to have to be productive on the perimeter.
3-second violation called on Katia Kentish. Brenda Freeze will call out the play for her club. It was interesting to watch them today shoot around, no panic. Didn't seem to be worried too much. They were confident that they would be able to figure out the problems that ailed them in their losses against North Carolina and Georgia Tech. And Marissa Coleman doesn't seem to be bothered at all. 7 points early on.
Well, Marissa Coleman has figured it out, but she's getting real good looks, and partly because Boston College sags in their man-to-man, and she's able to come across and getting the 12 or 13-foot jump shot.
Dorsey short, Harper with the rebound, and here comes Maryland.
Great job of boxing out by Laura Harper and the rest of the Terrapins that time down.
Langhorne called for the walk before she got the shot up. 3 turnovers for Maryland early on.
But Beth, I like Maryland's focus. They're playing this game inside out, which is what they need to do to be successful. And the first looks are going inside, whether they're going inside to Langhorne or they were going inside to Harper.
Sarah Marshall across midcourt. Boston College scoreless now for almost 4.5 minutes. Dorsey stripped on the drive, got it back. 5 on the shot clock. Marshall, the runner, good.
Beth, she is a very capable scorer, and she has to continue to look for her shots. She's got 6 points already in the basketball game.
Shooting 3 for 3. She's already over her average, which is only 5 points a game. Jade Perry wrestles in there for the rebound. Coleman off the mark. Sarah Marshall with the shot clock winding down.
Well, this Boston College team wants to go deep into the shot clock, and Sarah Marshall was able to get a nice little dribble drive, 1-2 dribble move, and pull up, shoot the jump shot.
The senior from Falmouth, Maine.
With Ress on the bench, Marshall's going to have to continue to produce.
Everybody moves up an option. So now it's Marshall and Kendall Dorsey that will be looked to provide the scoring load. Harper can't knock it down. Dorsey Ashley Newman is on defending her.
Well, Newman did a nice job of slowing down the ball reversal, which changed Boston College's rhythm that time on offense.
Last touch by Maryland. So BC will get it with a fresh 30.
BC likes to go to Kendall Dorsey on these baseline inbounds plays. Let's see if they screen for her and get her a look.
Marshall's the only one that's hit a bucket so far. The rest of the team is 0 for 7 from the floor. Sade Wiley Gatewood has now come on, number 2 in white for the Terps. Newman gets the pick. And then is called for the travel.
And Brenda Freeze is nodding her head. She said, yes, it was. You got caught.
She said one of the issues with the turnovers against Georgia Tech and North Carolina was that they were playing too tentative, and was referring to them almost as if they were tentative turnovers and not attacking ones, which is what they want to try and do.
Well, coaches would much rather people, if you're going to make a mistake, make it being assertive and not being passive.
Coleman picks up the foul. That is her first, and that will send Pico to the free throw line. Boston College has yearned for more offense in the ACC, averaging just 56 points per game in the league. And on 3 occasions, they've been held under 50 points. So a little more balance, a little more productivity is all that Kathy Inglis is looking for. Even though their loss to North Carolina was by double digits, she was pleased with the effort put forth by her team, but that they did some things real well.
This Boston College team is short a couple of players that we'll probably talk to as we go through this game, but they're not the team that they thought they were going to be. One an injury and one an amateurism rule.
Eligibility issue coming over from Australia. That would have given them a little more athleticism and a few more options on the offensive end. Kentish, nice catch on the pass from Ayla Brown.
Well, that's a nice high-low look, but you have to credit the soft hands of Kentish on that to be able to corral that and finish it.
Boston College without Catherine West coming back to take the lead.
And what Boston College is doing on Langhorne, they're using their quickness because they're a little smaller. Instead of trying to bang with her, they're trying to go around her to deflect passes coming into Langhorne.
Offensive foul called on Maryland. That's going to be on Ashley Newman.
What Boston College does so well is reverse the basketball. And you can reverse the basketball, get the defender sealed in the low post, and you get the high-low look.
Turnover still a problem for Maryland. That's 6 turnovers in 8 minutes here in the first half. Langhorne to Wiley Gatewood. When she comes on, Tolliver moves over to the 2 guard. Trying to take advantage of her shooting over there. Jade Perry, 17-footer won't go. Newman keeps it alive.
Tolliver, I think, is very capable at the 2, and I think she's probably still adjusting to not having the ball in her hand. Learning how to play without the basketball is an art.
That's her more natural position. Langhorne. Tolliver. Got it. Christy Tolliver for 3. Maryland back on top.
But when you're playing a sagging man-to-man, you have to be careful that you don't lose sight of your three-point shooters. And Christy Tolliver has a deep 3 look, so you have to really cheat out a little bit on her and not give her those looks.
Langhorne able to force the turnover as Brown stepped on the end line. Christy Tolliver, the sophomore from Harrisonburg, Virginia, leads the NCAA in 3-point shooting. Knocks one down here for the Terps. ACC College Hoops is brought to you by Food Lion, Pepsi, Alltel, and by Geico. Back here in College Park, Maryland, the Terrapins with the lead on Boston College, 12-10. Under 11 minutes to go here in the first half. Maryland ranked 4th in the country and right now in 4th place in the ACC. North Carolina and Duke, the final 2 unbeatens nationwide. They are getting set to square off on Thursday over at Carmichael Auditorium in Chapel Hill.
Well, this is an important game for Maryland because they certainly don't want to drop another game and that loss, add another game to that loss column. But for Boston College, it's time for them to get a win, and this would truly be a feather in their cap if they could get this road win.
Florida State doing a nice job up there in third place right now. Tolliver coming off the screen, 15-footer no good. Harper offensive rebound, had it knocked loose. Langhorne foul down low.
Well, Maryland's been coming up with some of the loose balls right now, but Boston College is really battling down low and not allowing Maryland to throw the ball into the post easily.
5 offensive rebounds in the early going for the Terrapins. Tolliver off the inbound won't go. Wiley Gatewood takes the weak side rebound. 6 offensive boards, and the putback is good. Now Florida State will have the opportunity of hosting North Carolina and Maryland back-to-back on February 12th and 15th. Could be a huge week down in Tallahassee. Pico launches that one up over Harper for 2.
Well, Boston College is not afraid to attack Maryland's defense and even attack it off the bounce. If Maryland has a weakness defensively, teams are starting to try to exploit that, and that's off the bounce.
Harper scores inside.
That's a good look by Dorsey coming off the handoff on the screen.
Good defense by Brown, getting around Langhorne.
That's the decision that Boston has made. They're not trying to bang with the Maryland post players. They're trying to use their quickness, so they're getting off of relieving the pressure and getting around it.
7 turnovers for Maryland. Langhorne 8 touches so far. She's taken 1 shot and has picked up 1 assist. Marshall, look at her dribble through traffic, negotiating and scoring. Sarah Marshall staying perfect, 4 for 4. And you alluded to the fact, Charlene, that Maryland has been hurt by good guard play in their 3 losses this year.
Hurt by good guard play, and surprisingly, Marshall is shooting the basketball. And that was something that, in speaking with Coach Inglis before the game today, is that, you know, why isn't she not shooting the ball? Well, she's shooting it today.
Wiley Gatewood counters for 2. Sade now with 4 off the bench. Maryland by 4. Boston College doing a terrific job of hanging around.
Well, Ayla Brown had the right idea that time and putting the ball on the floor, but shuffled her feet before she did that. But Ayla Brown has done a tremendous job defensively for Maryland, for Boston College, making it difficult for Maryland to get the ball into the post. Well, you talk about Maryland's losses. Guards have hurt them. Harding had 28, Latta had 32, and Stephanie Higgs put the ball on the floor and had 26 points against Maryland. All losses.
Coleman can't put it down. Marshall will head the other way. Catherine Ress out with 2 quick fouls in the first couple of minutes. With BC, the rest of the players picking it up. Beth Egnell has come on now, and Maryland forces another turnover.
Well, a little bit of a trap on the smaller guard, Rusin, down low, and create that turnover.
Shane Aron, the second leading scorer in Maryland history with her first bucket. 6 different players have scored now for the Terps here in the first half.
Well, that's what Maryland does best. They distribute the ball where they do well. They share the wealth, and turnovers like this lead to easy baskets.
Duran wants to catch up with Vicky Bullitt, the all-time leading scorer. She's got about 156 points to go to try and catch her by the end of the season. 4 points in the last 20 seconds for Duran.
And both were all turnovers. Miscues by Boston College. Duran's able to get the steal, the easy layup. On the skip pass, steps right in. And you tell your offensive player, make sure you're stepping to the basketball. But Shea was just kind of sitting back, waiting for that pass to come across the lane.
7 Boston College turnovers, resulting in 8 Maryland points on the takeaways as they balloon the lead out to 22-14.
Well, the first 8 minutes of the basketball game, Boston College was able to make skip passes in order to attack this Maryland defense. And, you know, Shea's a smart player. She saw that was happening, and she read it, was able to get the steal.
She's experienced. She's worn that Maryland jersey more than any player in school history, playing in her 125th game today. Oaknell misses the layup. Coleman out to Tolliver. Duran off the mark. Coleman, good hustle to knock it out of bounds off the Boston College player. Under 7 minutes to go in the first half. 22-14. 4th-ranked Maryland with the lead over BC. Under 7 to go, Maryland with the 8-point advantage over Boston College with Catherine Ress in early foul trouble. She's been on the bench now for over 10 minutes. Sarah Marshall picking up some of the slack.
Well, Sarah Marshall has decided that she's going to get involved in the offense. And, you know, she's catching and shooting, but she's also putting it on the floor and finding open spaces to knock down shots. I mean, she only averages about 5 shot attempts per game, and she has already attempted 5 in this basketball game. She's 4 for 5 from the floor.
They've been watching the game tape on Maryland, and the guard play that the opposition has thrown at the Terps has been effective, and Marshall taking it off the dribble and getting some looks. Coleman will inbound for the Terps. It's Coleman, Langhorne, Perry, Duran, and Tolliver in the white jerseys. Pico, Kentish, Marshall, Dorsey, and Brown for BC. Langhorne, tough pass to handle for Perry.
Boston College is doing a nice job of doubling, sometimes timing the double teams on Langhorne, and I really believe it's really put them out of rhythm.
They're turning her into a passer. She's only taken 1 shot here in the first half. Crystal able to track down the rebound. That's her 4th.
Well, Pico had a good look at it. The lefty just missed the wide open shot.
Duran with the assist and the screen from Langhorne.
If you give Duran that good of a look, you really have to fight over screens, I believe, for all these Maryland players. They shoot the ball so well.
8-0 run to make it a 10-point lead for the Terps.
We talk a lot about Langhorne's ability to score the basketball, but it's some of the other things that she does, like setting the screens, and when she is doubled, kicking the ball out to shooters.
Marshall with the miss on the run. Tolliver. Coleman all alone for 3, no good. Duran with the weak side board. Muscles that one up and in.
And she's saying, and one, because she thought she got hit going back to the basket there. Well, she was just so strong, able to finish that shot. And then creates the turnover. Comes back down the floor and creates the turnover.
Duran now with 8 points. And that's her 500th career rebound as well.
Well, gets it on the board and just is so strong and determined going back up. But here's a senior that wants to lead her team. You know, he says, we've dropped 2 games and we can't continue to play like we've played in the last 2 basketball games. She wants to turn it around.
She has had such an impact on this program. You had a chance to talk with Brenda Fries earlier. We'll hear that interview at halftime. And Duran, such a pivotal recruit. The first one really to buy in here, and then the rest followed. And Langhorne scores inside, and BC has to call the timeout.
Well, we sometimes forget how young this Maryland team is. I mean, when you talk about seniors who play, Duran is really the only senior that gets a lot of minutes, and then everybody else pretty much young, freshmen, sophomores, juniors.
Let's take a look at the work of Shea Duran.
Well, she just gets it done, has such a good feel for the game. Anticipating on defense, can knock down shots off of screens. With this handoff here. Quick release. And and then she just battles. There's no stopping the Shea Duran.
A 12-0 run right now for Maryland. Duran, the springboard. She's had 8 of those points. And here's what she's done at Maryland. #1 in free throws made and games played. She's 2nd in scoring, 3rd in three-pointers. In the 4th season out of Christ the King High School. Same high school that produced national champions Shamika Holzclaw at Tennessee and Sue Bird at UConn. And Catherine Ress back onto the floor. Kathy Inglis has to put her back in there despite the 2 fouls.
Well, I think they were going to go as long as they could, as long as the game was close, but they cannot let this game get too far away because Maryland's just too good.
Ress with the rebound after Maryland tried to go right at her inside. Marshall tracks down the pass. Dorsey has been stymied here in the first half. Kendall 0 for 3 from the floor. Pico will knock down the 3.
Lefty sometimes, I think, cause problems for defenders because it was, she's dribbling the ball in the left hand, and Wiley Gatewood's probably waiting for her to put the ball back to her right hand to shoot it. That's a great shot right there by Pico.
Pico's got 7 points here in the first half, and the foul called inside is going to be on Catherine Ress, and that is number 3 as Pico drops one on the other end. (28-19), Maryland leading Boston College. 3:37 to go here in the first half. Talked to Brenda Freese prior to the game. Here's what she had to say about her team trying to bounce back from 2 losses in a row.
The team has responded like they should, with tremendous character, and they understand that they're disappointed, obviously, to lose both games. But I think it also speaks volumes of the bar that has been set for this program, and just the disappointment of losing back-to-back. They don't want to feel this way again, and they want to embrace and do whatever is possible to be able to change this around.
One of the things she's talked about, Charlene, is getting that swagger back. We'll hear more from Brenda coming up at halftime.
Well, I think they certainly have embraced it in this basketball game. Their energy level has been good right from the start, and they're getting the ball inside. And as I say that, Langhorne says, well, I'm going to take one from the outside.
Crystal 2 for 4 so far in the ball game. 4 points, 5 rebounds. Offensive foul called as Harper takes the charge on Beth Egnell.
Well, Egnell's trying to make something happen here. She's trying to create, but Harper does a nice job to come over and cut off the baseline, draw that foul.
Terps beat the pressure. They have had 6 different players score. 6 have also had an assist, and 8 Terps have picked up at least 1 rebound in the first half, and 1 for Crystal Langhorne.
And that's just sheer determination and strength right there. That ball was deflected. There were 2 Boston College players around the loose ball, but then Langhorne comes up with the basketball. Started with a pretty good pass from Duran. What a great finish with players hanging on to her.
17th touch now in 17 minutes for Crystal. Very involved here in the first half.
And I believe if you count touches as how to measure her effectiveness in the basketball game, because she has such a great impact on the game. Defenses are really geared to try to stop her, slow her down.
Pico, quick release for 2. She's been big off the bench, leading the way for BC with 9 points in the first half. And then Boston College forces the turnover. That's number 10 for Maryland.
And that was Pico on offense and then Pico on defense. She got in the passing lane, didn't allow Wiley Gatewood to make the pass to Duran.
Opponents have scored 24 points off of turnovers in the last 2 games against Maryland. Both the losses to North Carolina and Georgia Tech. Egnell no good. Wiley Gatewood in the open court.
Well, Egnell's trying to find some type of rhythm, and she's a player from Sweden who probably plays better facing up than she does with her back to the basket.
Harper whistled for the charge. That's her first.
So Boston College got one back on the offensive side. They're defending, getting the offensive foul.
Baptism under fire for some of the younger players along the front line here for Boston College, with Ress picking up 3 fouls in just 5 minutes of play here in the first half.
Despite that, Boston College is continuing to battle, hang around.
Brown trying to get around Newman, scooped it up, no good. Got her own rebound, putback won't go. Langhorne outlets to Wiley Gatewood. Duran's pass picked off, 11th turnover of the first half. Egnell on the run, good.
That's a good finish. That ball was passed to her between 2 defenders. You know, that's why Brown is in the basketball game. And she's not given Boston College a lot on the offensive end, but she has played superbly on the defensive end, using her quickness to get around, deflecting passes into the post.
And now it's BC that has to call the timeout. Again, they got a little sloppy with the basketball.
But nice finish right here with the defender running under her. Good concentration. If you notice her eyes stayed focused on her target. That's how she could finish that shot.
Kathy Inglis's club, this is definitely the pace they would like to see. With 1:18 to go in the first half.
And the 11 turnovers from Maryland. I mean, you know, if it's an up-tempo game and you're getting a lot of shots, then maybe you're not feeling too badly about those 11 turnovers. But this is more of a Boston College pace. We talked about Boston College getting deep into the shot clock. They've been able to do that. Maryland's got to do a better job taking care of the ball.
Duran short on the pull-up. Tolliver and Coleman have come back into the lineup out of the timeout for Maryland. Laura Lokaitis. Harper over to help out. Tolliver breaks out of the pack. Coleman leaves it off for Harper, filling the lane for 2.
Well, again, transition baskets off the turnover. Lokaitis made a gross error in jumping to try to pass over a bigger player. Maryland took advantage of it. Got the deflection, the steal, and lay up on the other end.
That's just the way you want to see somebody fill in the lane like that. Laura Harper with the hustle. Pico. Coleman tips it to herself. Now Tolliver will reset up top. Maryland looking to take the final shot of this first half. Coleman, skip, Duran, 3, good!
And Duran was in her sights all along. Taking the ball to one side and skipping it over to Duran for that shot. It's a big bucket at the end of the half.
Perfect execution. Coleman finds Duran. And Shea with 11 points in the last 8 minutes. Leading the way for the Terps. They're up 36-23 at the break. ACC College Hoops halftime here in College Park. 36-23 Maryland with the lead over Boston College. Earlier today, Charlene Curtis had a chance to sit down with Brenda Fries.
Coach, last year you were the hunter. This year you're the hunted. How difficult has it been to be the hunted this year?
It's a completely different element, and you know, one that we've really wanted to embrace and be able to welcome. But I think at the same time we're starting to learn and understand what it means to come fully prepared each and every game, and to respect your opponent, to know that every time you line up you're going to get your opponent's best shot.
Well, you've already accomplished a lot of the goals that you set for the program at the early part of your tenure. You've won a national championship. You filled the Comcast Center on more than one occasion. So what's next?
You know, there's so many things, and you know, I think we continue to appreciate the process, and you know, having so many young players back, it's you know, how do you handle success after you've achieved it at such a very young age? How do you handle expectations? How do you handle pressure? And understanding, you know, that our team and our players are role models for this community, and win or lose in any kind of environment, that we've got to understand big picture, that we are role models for these young boys and girls out there, and we have to embrace that role.
Now, you've said in the past that Shea Duran was perhaps the most important recruit. Talk about her importance to this program.
Well, you know, Shea is the player that laid the foundation to this program, and you know, she had the courage to say yes to Maryland when back when Maryland wasn't a popular decision, and you know, her leadership skills, her competitiveness, the way she has always taken this team to another level. I can't say enough wonderful things about what she's meant to this program.
Well, and in speaking with Shea, she's had to change her role. I mean, she was the #1 scorer her freshman year and her sophomore year, but then she's had to adjust because you brought in other players. It's just, she's been important in that way.
Well, it really does, and I think it speaks volumes of Shea in terms of her leadership, and that she understands what it takes to be a champion. And the fact that she led this team her first 2 years in scoring, and now has sacrificed minutes, has sacrificed points for the greater good of this team, understanding that we do have more scorers now, is ultimately why she has helped this team win a national championship.
Hey, thank you, Coach.
Thank
Back to you, Beth.
Thanks a lot, Charlene, with Coach Brenda Fries. And speaking of Shea Duran, here with the clock winding down, finds the spot on the perimeter, gets the pass from Coleman, and knocks it down. Maryland on top at the break. Halftime here in College Park. ACC College Hoops with Maryland leading Boston College 36-23. Christy Tolliver hitting for three, the Maryland point guard. And on the other side, her counterpart, Sarah Marshall, with the pull-up. Had the hot hand trying to keep BC close. The lead over Boston College, 36-23. Beth Mullins along with Charlene Curtis, and the big story in this first half, Catherine Rest limited with the 3 personal fouls. Only played 5 minutes, and the Terrapins were able to take advantage inside.
Well, they certainly did, and this Boston College team doesn't have a whole lot of other people to go to. They don't have anybody else to go to, but Sarah Marshall really stepped up early, and so did Pico, to give them some points.
All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights from that first half of play, and we'll start out with the Eagles.
Well, Sarah Marshall decided today that she was going to get in the scoring column early, and this Boston College has needed that. Scoring off the dribble, scoring off the catch. And then Pico kept the ball alive on the dribble, and with that little lefty, she's able to put the ball on the floor, and then just watch her here. Catches Wiley Gatewood with her hands down and knocks down the 3. And on the other side, Christy Tolliver got the Maryland team going early, playing defense, kicking it up. Nice fast break layup by Laura Harper. And then Duran says, you're not going to keep skipping the ball across the lane. She steps in, gets the layup, and then is aggressive with the offensive rebound for the finish.
She led Maryland in that first half with 11 points as we take a look at the all-tell first half statistics, with Maryland shooting 49% and getting on the offensive glass for 10 second chance points.
Well, that's the biggest difference in the game, and part of that is because Catherine Rest has not played much of the first half.
All right, now the thing here for Boston College coming out of the locker room, they'll have Catherine Rest back on the floor, and we'll see if she can have any kind of impact. What do you expect to see from her?
Well, she's going to have to be productive. I mean, they have to give her the basketball early and get her involved, but it's going to be tough on the defensive end because Maryland's just so good inside. She has to continue to play defense.
Terrific balance from that Maryland starting 5, and they got some help off the bench as well for the 36-23 halftime lead. ACC College Hoops is brought to you by Gatorade, Chrysler Jeep, and by Chick-fil-A. Getting set to start the second half. 4th-ranked Maryland leading Boston College 36-23. Shea Duran leading all scorers in that first half with 11 points on 5 of 8 shooting. Krista Langhorne had 7 points, 6 boards. And Marissa Coleman chimed in with 7 as well. Mikel Pico off the bench with 9 to lead the way for Boston College. Sarah Marshall was 4 of 6 from the floor for 8 points. Catherine Rest, the leading scorer at 18 points a game, held to just 2 points in 5 minutes with 3 personal fouls.
And Boston College's second leading scorer, Kendall Dorsey, also did not score. So Kendall's got to find a way to get open a little bit more from three-point range and knock down some of those shots. She had some good looks early, but didn't have many late.
0 for 3 in that first half. Let's go back and take a look at your game plan from earlier and see how that's working out.
Well, we talked about Boston College shortening the game by getting deep into the shot clock. They did that, and they need more offensive rebounds. They only shot 34% from the floor. 6 offensive rebounds is not going to be enough. Langhorne got 17 touches, and although she only made 3 field goals, 3 of 5, she's not going to take bad shots. That's what Brenda Free said that before the game, and she doesn't take bad shots. She'll distribute the ball, and she gets the focus of your defense.
She had a couple of assists in that first half. Boston College elects to keep Ress on the bench to start this second half. Kentish, Dorsey, Brown, Marshall, and Pico in the dark jerseys. Harper, Duran, Langhorne, Tolliver, and Coleman in the white jerseys for Maryland.
Well, Maryland did a nice job of coming right at Boston College defensively. Really got up in their grills in that possession. Came up with the steal and forced the jump ball.
Langhorne out top. Leaves it off for Coleman. Back to Langhorne. Couldn't get it to go.
Rhea Brown was in the vicinity.
Pretty look that time from Coleman. Fun to watch this group pass the basketball. 3rd best in the NCAA at 19 assists per game. And Brown hits for 3, and Maryland's within 10. Her first basket.
Well, Brown is showing her range. Just a freshman out of Massachusetts. And probably what she's most famous for in her young life is not shooting the 3, but she was finished in 13th place. What was that show, baby? American Idol.
Marshall directing traffic. Runs into Harper on the baseline.
Well, Boston College needs to reverse the ball. They played this entire possession on one side of the floor.
Pico trying to beat the shot clock buzzer. Maryland comes out with it. Coleman with her head up. Tolliver inside to Langhorne. Skips it over to Duran. BC comes out with it.
Not that Langhorne gave up an opportunity to score the ball. She didn't get doubled, and anytime she is not double-teamed, I really believe she's got to look to score.
Kentish lost it. Langhorne down on the deck to get it. Coleman spinning into the lane, no good. Harper with the stick back.
Maryland is just bigger and stronger down low. It makes those kinds of possessions easy for them. The offensive rebound and the stick back.
They are +8 now on the glass. On the season, +16 their rebound margin. That's the best in the country. Duran from the elbow won't go. Another rebound. Coleman good. They just keep coming at you. 11 offensive rebounds for Maryland.
Well, that's how Maryland's getting their points right now. Getting second chance opportunities. And a big reason is because Catherine Rest, the largest, tallest post player and the most effective post player for Boston College, is on the bench with 3 fouls. Brown steps away. Coleman weak side. And that's a good look, but they're not getting, Boston College is not getting any second shot opportunities right now. You know, Beth, in Boston College's last game, Rest had those 3 fouls in the first half. She came back in the game in the second half and got her 4th foul within the first 2 minutes of the second half.
Harper over the back, whistled for the foul. That is her second.
But an earlier play, Harper was able to get a little bit better rebounding positioning and go up and get the stick back over a smaller Boston College player.
Coleman takes a break. Jade Perry comes on with Ashley Newman.
Tolliver does a nice job of pushing Marshall out higher than the screen, and Marshall's not able to use the screen effectively.
Marshall caught by Tolliver. Kentish slips the screen and draws the foul.
2 seconds on the shot clock. That's the kind of basketball that Boston College usually plays and needs to play right now, especially with Rest sitting on the bench.
First on Langhorne. Rest looking now. Kentish to the free throw line. 75% on the season.
Kentish got bailed out that time because she caught the ball. She was under the basket. And she probably would not have made that shot anyway, but was able to draw the foul.
BC looking for its first road win in conference play this season. They'll show some pressure after the make, and Newman walked with it. Elsewhere around the ACC, Virginia Tech got a win yesterday over Morehead State. How about Coach K-Yow going for win number 700 tomorrow night against Florida State?
Well, first of all, that Florida State-NC State matchup is going to be a great matchup. Those two teams are battling to stay at the top, with Florida State right now in 3rd place.
Early second half action. The Terps leading BC 40-28. Is brought to you by Food Lion, Pepsi, Altel, and by Geico. Here at the Comcast Center, 40-28, Maryland leading Boston College. We were talking before the game about K-Yow going for win number 700 tomorrow, and that got us thinking a little bit, Charlene, about former Olympic coaches in the ACC, and we're looking at the back there of Boston College assistant Nancy Darsh, and there are actually 4 former Olympic coaches around the SEC, or ACC, excuse me.
Excuse me, Coach Yow won the gold medal as the head coach in '88, but Sylvia Hatchell has been an assistant coach. Nancy Darsh has actually been 2 times an assistant coach, and then Gail Gessencourt 2 times, well, will be 04, and then Gail Gessencourt will be on the 08 team.
We were talking to Nancy earlier. We think that is the most in one conference around the country, the 4 Olympic coaches here in the ACC.
Well, Nancy Darsh is a former Tennessee assistant for Pat Summitt. She's also a head coach at Ohio State. Took her team to a championship game. They lost to Texas Tech, the Cheryl Swoops.
The Cheryl Swoops game back in '93. Pico. Oh, good. Tolliver. Look how quickly Maryland gets out on the run. Duran pulls up, no good. Ashley Newman, second chance points.
Well, Maryland just continues to just be brutal on the boards, going after second chance opportunities. Duran probably wanted to pull that shot back. She couldn't decide if she was going to shoot it over the rim or off the glass, but her teammate had her back and took care of the layup.
Brown, no good. Apart from Marshall, Boston College's starters are now 2 for 11 with just 5 points in the ball game.
And they're getting good looks.
Langhorne, no.
But if they're good looks with big players coming at them, so, you know, it's all about them finishing. You have to finish with your eyes.
That's 12 offensive rebounds to 16 second chance points. Kendall Dorsey still without a field goal.
I don't know how much longer you can leave Rest on the bench. I mean, if this game get away from you, you're not getting any second chance opportunities. I think it's time for Rest to come back in the game.
And here she comes, along with Laura Lokaitis, set to check back in. Played just 5 minutes in that first half with 3 fouls.
You know, what has happened is Maryland got a few transition baskets in the first half. After Maryland got those transition baskets, Boston College has been more concerned about defensive transition than they have been about getting offensive rebounds. So they're not even attempting to go to the boards right now. They're thinking more transition defense. They have to change their mindset. If they get offensive rebounds, Maryland can't fast break.
Oliver knocks down the second one, 88% on the season. Biggest lead of the day now for Maryland. But Ress is back out there for Boston College. This is her with the basketball. Pico had it blocked. 13 on the shot clock for BC.
But right away, as soon as Ress comes in the basketball game, Maryland is very focused on her. So Pico solved that. If it wasn't for Duran, Pico would have had an easy layup going to the basket.
Coleman got the swat on that one. Duran knocked that out of bounds.
Well, now Duran's arguing the call, but she's fortunate she didn't get called for a foul on that, so she probably should let that go and say.
Inbound to Ress. Pico. They are now 2 of 13 from downtown.
Boston College needs to focus right now and get a good defensive possession, which means they need an offense or get a defensive rebound if there's a miss.
Christy Tolliver. She hits for 3. Then the lead is up to 19. Terps are 4 of 7 from downtown. Ress trying to go to work on Jay Perry. Finds Sarah Marshall. No good. Perry to Duran.
Maryland's done a great job of boxing out in this half.
Boston College comes out with it.
You know, that's what good teams do to you. You know, you think you're in the basketball game, but all of a sudden, they just push it and push it and push it, and they get this big lead. Now, I guess it's 17 points, but I'll push all the way up to 19-point lead in just a few minutes.
Pico gets the offensive rebound, and I believe that's their first second chance basket. And Jay Perry with the basket. Everybody contributing for Brenda Freeze here today. Substitutions will come on. Wiley Gatewood and Harper check back into the lineup.
Perry took a page out of the Boston College playbook that time defensively and got around and got the deflection. Pass trying to go into Catherine Ress.
Duran takes the charge on Brown.
Shea Duran does such a good job of knowing her competition. Like, she knew that Brown was going to go to the right. You know, did she get her feet set or not? Well, you know, she knows how to take it with her chest.
Duran off the crossover, and Harper had to take an extra step. (49-30), Maryland with the lead over BC. Ress back to Marshall. Trying to bump the cutter, Catherine Ress. The foul will be called on Maryland.
See, as soon as Catherine Ress comes in the basketball game, she draws the defense's attention. Maryland doesn't want Ress to get to the block.
Dorsey still scoreless. Their 3 leading scorers have just 4 points so far in the ball game. Dorsey turns it over. We'll take a timeout with the teams. 11:54 to play. Maryland in control here in the second half. 49-30 our score. 11:54 to go in the second half. ACC College Hoops. Here is the top 10 And the ACC holding 3 of the top 4 spots, with Duke and North Carolina still undefeated on a collision course for Carmichael Auditorium on Thursday night.
But then Florida State and NC State will have a big game on Monday night, as you can see what their RPI rankings are. And Georgia Tech with a huge win the other night over Maryland. And I really like what Virginia Tech is doing right now. They're starting to play real good basketball. When you talk about just improvement overall, you know, Virginia Tech has done it. Kirby Copeland had her career high the other night with 28 points.
Virginia winner over Miami earlier today to end a 5-game skid. Well, the other big game tomorrow is Georgia Tech at Virginia Tech. So the Hokies, winners of 4 of their last 5, and Georgia Tech trying to build off of their upset of Maryland over the weekend.
Well, the ACC had 7 teams in the NCAA tournament last year, and you know, you read different reports as to how many teams are going to get in, but teams, every game counts right now. Teams that would you consider right now on the bubble trying to get in. Virginia Tech's one of those trying to get in. Florida State still, I think, still battling for a spot, even though they're 3rd right now in the ACC. And then there's Georgia Tech.
Right now, I would put the cutoff line at 7 when you look at the ACC standings. Teams that could get to 18, 19 wins overall, and that will be flirting with a 500 record or better in league play. Brenda Freese reminding her players, hey, I'm not in the game right now. Don't pass it to me.
Well, this is called a skip everybody pass. Right to the coach.
She, of course, would be out of eligibility at this point. I'm not sure she could score from over there anyways. I don't know if Brenda had that kind of range. Marshall, the dish to Russ, no good. Brown's putback won't go.
But that's good defensive, team defense that time by Maryland. They were able to help and rotate to make it difficult for Russ to score the layup.
Coleman to Harper, count it. Just overpowering Boston College right now.
Well, the loose balls, Maryland has won that battle in this basketball game. Loose balls and offensive rebounds. That's why Maryland has the lead that they have right now.
Harper with 8 points, 4 boards.
Terrapins number 44,
Arlie Norez comes on. Coleman with another solid all-around game, 11 points, 8 rebounds. She's got 4 assists. Everybody that's played has scored for Maryland as Norez checks on for the first time. Pico off the mark.
Norez is the other senior on this basketball team, and you know, has understood and accepted the role that she has on this team. Works hard every day in practice. Oftentimes is on that scout team, so she knows the opponent's probably better than anybody else on the floor. Tough to go for the upset when you're shooting just 25% from the floor, as Boston College is right now. Harper pounds it back up and in. The offensive rebounds and the second chance points piling up now for Maryland. Well, Harper is so strong. I mean, that's the kind of game we saw her play in the Final Four. Those 2 games that she played in the Final Four, where she was the most valuable player of last year's Final Four.
21 second chance points for the Terrapins today. 56-30, Maryland. Brought to you by Gatorade, Chrysler Jeep, and by Chick-fil-A. Back here at the University of Maryland, 10 minutes to go. And the Terps in control, holding Boston College to just 2 of 18 shooting here in the second half. And here is how Maryland stacks up in the ACC and in the NCAA.
Well, that's why they're one of the best teams in the country. I mean, the 51% field goal percentage is just tremendous. 85.7 points per game. They can score. They distribute the ball. They have so many weapons. And, you know, I came up, Beth, a day early to visit a family member. And, you know, around here in the state of Maryland, they want to know what's wrong with their Terps because they dropped 2 games. And, well, hey, it's the ACC, but it's nothing wrong with the Terps. It's that time of the year where you have to battle every game. I think, you know, Brenda said it in the interview at halftime there that, you know, her players have to learn. They have to come every night because they are the hunted this year. They're not the hunters, they're the hunted.
Still learning how to deal with the pressure of being the marked man out there everywhere they go.
I had the opportunity to work with Gino Ariema at Connecticut right after they won their first championship in 1995. And, you know, his statement to me was, you know, it's one thing to get to the top, it's another thing to stay there. And, you know, they've done a pretty nice job of staying at or near the top. And this is the type of thing that Maryland wants to do with their program.
When you talk about winning back-to-back national championships with Gino and Pat, of course, had the three-peats. But it's very difficult to do, and Maryland will be attempting to do it this year. It's pretty amazing how quickly they have put this program up on top. When you talk about the crowds that they get here night in and night out. Their final regular season home game against Duke already sold out, as was their home game against North Carolina earlier this year.
Now, what Maryland has to do now is win one of those sold-out games. Because last year they had a sold-out game against Duke, I believe, here, and they didn't win that game. And in the games that they had this year against North Carolina, so the Duke game coming up, you know, and they're all important. They're all important this time of year, but I'm sure they're going to have a real focus on wanting to come away with a victory in that game.
And in the post-game news conference after Duke beat Maryland at home earlier this year, Gail Gestencourt said, hey, I remember the first few sellouts that we had at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and we did not fare as well as we would have liked because it was all new to us dealing with that kind of situation. And of course, now the Blue Devils are a little better at it. They got the win against Maryland earlier this year. And their home game at the end of the regular season against North Carolina is already sold out. Their first meeting will be Thursday at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Catherine Ress is just so frustrated right now. I mean, those are shots that she normally makes.
Ress is 1 for 5. Kendall Dorsey is 0 for 6. Newman with the fadeaway J.
Now that's a tough shot. Running the baseline, catching on the move. And then Coleman comes down on the other end and gets the reject.
She's been all over the floor today for Maryland, doing a little bit of everything.
Well, that's sweet, just to recover and have that type of control. And she's just a sophomore.
Here she is leading the break. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocked shots. She had the triple-double earlier this year, the first ever in Maryland history.
The crowd wanted a foul that time on Marshall, but I do believe Coleman was initiating that hold.
7:55 to go. Maryland leading Boston College here in College Park. Welcome back to the Comcast Center, our Chrysler game summary with Boston College held to just 32 points on 23% shooting. And the second chance points racking up for Maryland.
Maryland's size, strength, and athleticism has allowed them to just really dominate in this basketball game. They distribute the ball so well, they share it. They started the game out playing inside out, which is the way I believe they're going to be most effective.
Yep. Harper, Duran, and Coleman with 11 points each to lead the way. Kentish stepped into the passing lane. Dorsey struggling right now.
And that turnover is caused by Duran's anticipation. I mean, she anticipated the ball was going to be passed to the other side of the floor. And as good of a job as she does is drawing charges. She made Dorsey kind of hiccup that time.
Riley Gatewood swings it around to Duran inside. Jade Perry, no good. Ricochet is out of bounds off of BC.
Now that's an offensive rebound that Maryland doesn't get a chance to go right back up with, but it is another possession. We'll just continue to win the battle on the boards.
Duran off the set piece.
When you talk about a high release, she comes off the screen, catches, and she releases the ball so high, it's very difficult to defend that shot.
13 now for Shea. Number 2 all-time in scoring behind the legendary Vicki Bullitt. She has made more free throws than anyone in Maryland history. In fact, is 6th now on the ACC career free throws made chart.
Well, she made it known her very first game of her career that she knew how to get to the free throw line. She set a record for her team, very first game in her freshman year.
23 for 23, I believe. Foul going to be called on the inbound. Shea has not been to the line today. In fact, we've only seen 10 free throws taken after a Maryland game that was foul prone down at Georgia Tech. 33 fouls were whistled on Maryland. Georgia Tech was 31 of 44 at the free throw line. There were over 60 fouls all told in that game. There is the honored jersey of Vicki Bullitt.
Beth, you were talking about the number of fouls called in that Georgia Tech game. This is a different kind of a game. Georgia Tech has players that are very, very good at putting the ball on the floor, quick first step. Stephanie Higgs was able to really attack the Maryland defense, and Boston College just doesn't have that type of quickness on the perimeter.
Duran will depart with 6:46 to go. Dorsey unable to knock down the free throw.
You know, if you come into someone else's arena, you're playing the number 4 team in the country, and your mindset is, we want to get the upset, everything has to go right for you. They have to shoot the ball well, they have to take care of the basketball, and they have to rebound the basketball. And just Boston College, especially when Catherine Rest just went out in the first half early, really hurt their chances.
Christy Marone hits for 3.
Christy Marone, this is her second ACC score. She started out her career at Virginia Tech.
Riley Gatewood able to chase it down. Spinning into the paint, count it.
And the foul. And for the Eagles, number 4,
Gatewood with the spin move.
Entering for the Eagles, number 5, Victoria.
And the finish. You know, this, she's capable of doing this, and I think, you know, to leave a starting position at Tennessee to come to Maryland, and I think maybe to play a little bit different style basketball that I think she thought she would be more comfortable with.
Has accepted the role thus far of coming off the bench. She comes on to play the point. Tolliver rather moves over to the 2. Agnell probing that defense. Jones with the pull-up, no good. Newman out of control. For Boston College in the second half, Sarah Marshall, after the good first half, has not scored. Dorsey is still scoreless on 0 for 6 shooting. And Catherine Rest 1 for 6 in the game, limited by the foul trouble.
You know, when Boston College came into the ACC, I think they understood that one of the biggest differences in Big East basketball and ACC basketball was the pace of play. the overall athleticism of teams and the pace of play, the fact that teams play end-to-end in this league. And Boston College is going to need another year or two of recruiting to change the type of players that they're bringing into their program so that they can continue to be more competitive and successful in the ACC.
We've seen Virginia Tech and Miami try to make similar adjustments since coming into the conference. Virginia Tech seems to be on track of late. Miami falling to Virginia earlier today. Virginia Tech has a big showdown with Georgia Tech tomorrow. And of course, Kay Yow going for win number 700. She would be just the 6th women's coach ever to reach that mark. NC State will be taking on Florida State tomorrow.
Well, it's that time of year, Beth. I love the month of February because every game counts. Every game counts.
There is the list of active coaches. Sue Gunner is the other one that has won over 700 in a career. But that's the active group that includes Sylvia Hatchell of North Carolina and Kay Yow on the brink. Will it be at Florida State's expense? They're playing well. Also, Jacinta Monroe, the Rookie of the Week this week.
Florida State has very good balance. Jacinta Monroe has moved into that starting lineup as just a freshman. She's long, she's talented, she gives Florida State a different dimension.
Taliver drops it off for Norris.
Very unselfish play. Now everybody scored, right? Very unselfish play.
Timeout, Eagles. Boston College with a 30-second team timeout.
But that's still an assist. She may have lost control. She's coming down the floor here, looking.
I think she was thinking of going between the legs. The Chick-fil-A play of the game. The knee got in the way, but she worked it around the outside instead.
Well, she knew Norris was on her right side behind her there, so didn't panic, finished the play.
10 have played and 10 have scored today for Maryland. And everybody's got a rebound as well. When you talk about the balance of this team, there are 3 in double digits right now, led by Shea Duran's 13 points. Talk about the big 3 in the ACC. And the absence of role players. All 5 players on the floor can score for this Maryland team. North Carolina and Duke with an abundance of scoring threats as well.
And it's on a different night, it can be a different player, but there's still certain players that you have to play through. For North Carolina, you play through Larkins inside. It's Latta, it's Larkins. For Maryland, Langhorne has to get touches early because once you establish the low block, it just opens up the rest of the floor.
Timeout on the floor with 3:10 to go. Maryland on top. .310 to go. Maryland in control here. ACC College Hoops. Shea Duran leading the way with 13 points today as she continues to move up the scoring charts here at the University of Maryland.
Beth, when you talk about potential All-Americans, Shea Duran has to be on your list. I mean, we always talk about Crystal Langhorne, and I truly believe Crystal Langhorne belongs there. But Shea Duran is really the engine that makes this team go. Yep. She's been there from the beginning. You know, anybody that scored has scored as many points as she scored, has gotten as many. She takes charges, she gets steals, she distributes the ball. I mean, look at that list. Vicky Bullock. Shea Duran right behind her.
And Crystal Langhorne coming on strong in the number 6 position. She is our Gatorade player of the game, Shea Duran. He was the first big recruit to commit when Brenda Freeze took over.
She came out of a great program in New York, Christ the King.
talked to her earlier today about what it's like and how difficult it is for the big three in the ACC to play each other so much. They face off once or twice during the regular season. The chances are they'll meet up again in the ACC tournament. And then last year, of course, all three of them were at the Final Four. And Duran said, yeah, it's a big challenge, but she said it really helps us when we get into the NCAA tournament because it's so hard to simulate our speed or Duke's speed or North Carolina speed if you have not seen it before. And we're all very familiar with each other.
Well, I think that's very well said, and I think that goes for all. I mean, when you talk about Florida State and Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech, and, the marquee wins. Now, there's some teams in this ACC that have not gotten marquee wins, except for now Georgia Tech has a marquee win over Maryland. But because you don't play many more, if any, non-conference games, it's all about getting some wins now in the league.
Florida State will have a chance as they play both North Carolina and Maryland coming up next week. Duran trying to beat the shot clock.
Warning the call, not going to get it today. When her basketball career ends, she needs to be an official.
She's saying, hey, I got hit on the arm, and immediately her teammates over on the bench started mocking, and they were all saying, hey, we got hit on the arm too over here. This is a team that, a lot of folks were wondering about what the chemistry would be like with the addition of Wiley Gatewood. On the outside, it has not seemed to affect them in the least. They were very loose today at shoot-around, despite the fact they had lost 2 in a row. And even Christy Tolliver said, hey, I don't mind the arrival of Wiley Gatewood because that allows me to move over to the 2, gives us another ball handler against pressure.
And it's pretty amazing that when you still look back on last season, for Maryland to have won a national championship, with one legitimate point guard. Shea Duran had to spend time at the point guard spot, which took away from her game. Even Coleman at times brought the ball down the floor and ran the show.
They will still have to deal with taking better care of the basketball and stopping the dribble penetration against the Dukes and North Carolinas of the world, but they're learning, as they did with that loss at Georgia Tech and then with the big win today, that they have to come out and play all 40 minutes every time out. And they were able to jump on Boston College early, and they have kept their foot on the gas pedal. Duran fouled, and Shea will head to the free throw line. That's what's coming up for Maryland in the next 5. You see that final home game will be against Duke, and then they'll finish up the year up at BC at Conte Forum. As Shea Duran heads to the free throw line. She's an 80% shooter, career free throw #1 at Maryland. Able to knock that one down. The only ACC players that have hit more: Elena Beard, Chris Moreland, Monique Curry at Duke, Dawn Staley, and Charlotte Smith. And that's a pretty darn good group right there.
When you think about it, most of them are guards, and then Charlotte Smith, was so good on the boards. I mean, she could rebound the basketball. People remember her name. She's an assistant coach at North Carolina now, but she hit the big 3 against Louisiana Tech in '94 to win a national championship.
And that still ranks up as one of the greatest moments in NCAA tournament history. And then, of course, Tolliver's big shot last year to force overtime in the championship against Duke. BC will be at Duke on February 15th, and then they will host Maryland to end the season, and then head down to Greensboro, rather, for the ACC tournament. And, of course, you want to finish in the top 4 if possible to get that first-round bye in Greensboro.
Greensboro is going to have a few weekends of basketball, with the women's ACC tournament being there and then the regional finals. Regionals will be in Greensboro.
The East Regional will be there. Opportunity for North Carolina or Duke to stay in the state of North Carolina for the first rounds and the regional. The first, second rounds will be at Raleigh, one of the sites this year. Christy Marone still working hard. Be interesting to see, too, what happens with Florida State. And if they can hang on to the third spot right now, that would mean Maryland would be the 4th seed. And the intriguing possibility that it could be an easier road to the championship at the tournament for the 2 seed than the 1 seed. Of course, Florida State can still make some pretty big statements against Maryland and Carolina in the regular season. They lost against Duke in their one opportunity to beat the Blue Devils.
Florida State's a young team also. I mean, they have a good mix. I think 1 senior and the rest are underclassmen. So they're a team that continues to get better. Sue Summerall's done a great job with them in building that program.
Maryland will get the win, improved to 22-3 on the season, 6-3 in the league. Boston College held to their lowest point total of the year as they fall 71-39. The Eagles drop to 11-12, 1-8 now in the ACC. An impressive performance for the Maryland Terrapins. Coming up tomorrow, it's Florida State taking on NC State. Kay Yow going for career win number 700 for the Wolfpack. Thanks for watching here in College Park. Maryland gets a win over Boston College. For Charlene Curtis.